Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Look at all of these beautiful faces joining us. Hello, hello. Kimberly, Alexander, Caroline, Alma, Betty,
Mm.
Amba, Dina, my dear friend. So good to see your face. Paul, Wendy, Ingrid, John. Here comes Mara, Gabriel. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being present today. Hello, Mara. My name is Teresa Warnstaff. I'm an intuitive channel. And hi, Ingrid. Aw. I am an intuitive channel. And in November 2024, my guide said, create a summit. And I said, oh, hell no. It was just so far from where I thought I was taking my world. Well, the summit happened, but not only did the summit happen, it brought together some of the most incredibly beautiful, wise master teachers. And from that, I learned that the next evolution for this wisdom was a book. And not just any old book, but a book that, and thank you to Sally Shakti for teaching me this word, that provides an opportunity for bibliomancy. Do you know what that is? I didn't. I've done it for decades, but I didn't know what it was. Bibliomancy is when you open a book, such as this absolutely stunning creation, at any page and point your finger at what wants to be heard and known by you at that time. It's an oracle. So and this is the way I've always used books. And I love books. Books have been a huge part of my world forever. The wisdom that is contained within here is so powerful, so evocative. And I'm excited that we're launching. And I'm equally excited that you get to experience the brilliance that I have. So, is everybody ready to do a little bit of magic
Mm.
coming from Stonehenge? I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to Sally Shakti. Not only is she a priestess of Avalon, and I've had firsthand experience at receiving the energy of Avalon in person with her, but she is one of our contributing authors. And I'm going to hand it over to her as we bring in the energy of the solstice. Sally, take it away.
So much, Teresa, for bringing us all together on this solstice with the energy. I know many of you are still in that early morning sunrise energy, and here in Avalon, it is later in the day, but we'll still have full sunlight for a good few hours yet. So that's what I love about this time of year. So I'm just going to ask everyone to do a couple of things to prepare before we begin. So one thing is, if you have a candle nearby and something to light it with, make sure that you have that to hand. And the other is, if you're not currently speaking, which is me, please put yourself on mute so that we can just keep that energy clear. Thank you very much. So if you have your candle and your thing to light it with. I'll tell you when we need it. Just want to begin by saying that the energy I'm bringing today is that this weekend I have spent my time immersed on the land at Avalon and Stonehenge this morning at sunrise with many thousands of other people. And then from Stonehenge, this is my ritual at the equinoxes and solstices, and Teresa has been on this journey with me, as has Ingrid also, who's here. We go to Stonehenge first thing early before sunrise, and we watch the sun come up at the sacred circle of Stonehenge, and we feel that energy rising up through our feet and through our bodies, through the spine, up into the crown of the head, the throat chakra, all those parts of ourselves that become illuminated with that new earth energy and the warmth of the light, the fullness of the light. And then from Stonehenge, we go to another nearby ancient sacred site called Avebury, which is the largest stone circle in the world. And we walk the pilgrimage at Avebury. So that's the land, that's the energy that I'm bringing into our ceremony today and sharing with all of us here, wherever you are on this beautiful earth. So I'm going to invite you to just find your feet grounded and rooted. Sensing in to what the earth means for you in this moment. And breathing deep with the earth energy that is awakening, fully awaken in the northern hemisphere and is in deep slumber in the southern hemisphere. Just feeling into that paradox and holding that unity and drawing it into your body with your breath. As you feel that energy rising up through your spine, take another breath and notice the light that is shining through your heart. Full solstice sunlight. And feel that energy expanding in a wide circle all the way around you. And feeling that energy rippling and reaching out until wherever you are, we are all connected in that circle of full illumination. Awakening. And then meeting that energy back in your heart, drawing what is yours back to yourself, that sacred sovereignty of illumination. And allowing that energy to rise up into your throat center, where it becomes words of wisdom, words of medicine. the listening, the speaking, the receiving, as you are here today. Forming, just from your intention, a blessing for this book, for these words, for this wisdom, as collectively we are here to celebrate its birth into the world. Feeling that full bright sunlight pouring down on you from overhead. Everything is drenched in sunlight, illuminating, awakening. Bringing your awareness back to the circle of light at your heart center. Now we expand it further outwards. So beyond this circle that we are here, we begin to reach all of those whose lives will be touched, blessed, and transformed by this book, Collective Wisdom for Changing Times. All of the medicine that it holds, the sacred frequencies, the unique transmissions. As Teresa said, the bibliomancy, that moment of oracular wisdom, of divine transmission that reaches into the hearts and minds of the right people at the right time, just holding that wider circle of awakening and transformation, that these words will reach those who are ready to receive them. And then drawing all of that energy back into your heart center, coming back to yourself, holding your intention. What you are here to receive, or what you are here to share and to give. Drawing that back down into the base of your spine, into your lower belly. Feeling all of this golden light energy collecting like a pool of honey nectar. Warm, amber, golden, ever flowing. Always available to nourish you with the sweetest of sips whenever you need it. Coming back to the base of your spine, rooting your feet into the earth. Coming back to yourself, to this moment, here, now, together. Taking a few deeper, longer breaths. And as you settle into your own sacred sovereignty, giving a little bit of stretch and movement to your body, perhaps moving the shoulders, your neck, stretching out the spine. When you're ready, taking your candle, we'll just hold it up to the camera together. This is the candle that I lit this morning at Stonehenge at sunrise. So I just lit it said a prayer for us and blew it out so that I could light it again this evening. So it's holding that energy. And all of your candles will all be holding this same sacred energy and our beautiful intentions. So perhaps just forming in your mind a prayer and a blessing for yourself, for us all, and for this book in the world, collective wisdom for changing times. And then we'll take our lighters or whatever you have, and we'll light the candle, creating that blessed sacred circle of fire. This is so beautiful. And when we can see everyone's candle, we'll know that the circle is complete. Solstice blessings, everyone. Blessed be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally Shakti. That was powerful and evocative. I know that I can feel the energy coming in from Stonehenge. I can feel the earth as she celebrates this new transmission, this new transition. Thank you all for adding your energy to our circle. I want to take us back to the Global Evolutionary Summit, the genesis, the beginning of this book.
Yeah, my hair's on. Thank you.
And it began with 90 minutes with each author sharing their wisdom. And when we met to set the energy for each of the 3 sessions that we've done of the Global Evolutionary Summit, the intention was this. When people participated, that they were moved in some way, in some form, whether it was new wisdom coming in, an energy transmission, information that they needed to step forward in a new way. And the ability to hold and expand
Camera's off, that's why I can't see your face.
love. It met
You don't believe?
those marks. And so I want to do 2 things next. First, I'm going to share an opportunity for you to get the recordings of all the authors, and I'll put the link in the chat. And then I want you to meet them. I want you to experience the wisdom that they hold within. I want you to feel who they are. So I've entered that link in the chat, and I want to take a moment to set an intention. Let's harness this energy. Let's harness this time that we have together and all of the master teachers that we'll hear from. What do you want to know? What do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? What is your intention for yourself? I ask that you make it about yourself, because your greatest contribution to this planet is a full self-realization. That connection of soul to human activated within you, expanding out into the world. That's you stepping into your soul contract. So, what is your intention for yourself as you listen and receive the wisdom that's going to be shared? And let's begin. Let's hear from these beautiful people. We're going to go in order of the book and begin with our beloved Nancy Hotz.
Is that my cue, Teresa?
That's your cue, Nancy. Woohoo!
All right. Oh, good morning, everybody, or evening, or whatever time of day it is in your time zone. For me, it's still very early on a Sunday morning. So, uh, and Sally Shakti, thank you. I've not had the great pleasure of meeting you in person yet, but I just met you, and that was lovely. It was just lovely. Thank you so much. I and it's wonderful to see as I'm scrolling the boxes here to see so many familiar faces from different places. All these faces from different places. It's just from years ago, from decades ago, and some that I have yet to meet. So I just am so honored to be a part of this. I could go on and spend my whole time doing that, but what I'd like to do is I want to share an image that came in a meditation earlier, and that was just as I asked, what is it that I can what's of most value for me to share in the time slot that I have this morning? Um, and you may notice there's some crystal alchemy singing bowls behind me, and that will be the crux of what I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. But I just wanted to share an image that came in that meditation, which was a beautiful prism. And it was interesting because usually when I think of a prism, I think of being in the one and then seeing all the lights, the different colors come out from the prism. And what I saw this time was I was on the other side and I was one of the many beautiful colors coming in and toward that point in the prism that then is this one whole beautiful radiant light. And that seemed like a pretty apt metaphor for what we're doing here. This book, the way that it came into being, and how we're all saying, in essence, the same thing because there's only one truth with a capital T, right? And there's only one of us. And so, Teresa, when you asked us to bring in what it is that we want out of, to experience, what came for me is I just want to experience, it's not a just, I want to experience more and more deeply, experientially, the oneness. Because there's no other moment, there's no other. This is it. And I have been feeling that so much more deeply. And one of the ways, so I don't keep rambling on my whole time here, one of the ways that I center myself in that energy and that awareness, and when I work with clients to come into that awareness and that frequency of oneness, is by using my bowls and by using my voice. So, with no more uh, intro about it, I'm going to assume, because I can feel that everyone's ready to just go into it. And if you have questions, reach out to me via my website or whatever. But right now, I'm going to use this crystal singing bowl right here. It's a crystal alchemy bowl. And this is the one that, oh, yes. Thank you. And thank you, Divine Universe, for bringing that reminder. Can we please make sure that everyone is on mute, because I now am going to. And if everyone else isn't on mute, it's going to sound really weird. Okay. So I am now on that setting. It looks like everyone's muted. All right. So I am going to call in my guides. I'm going to just use this as an activation. So let's continue with that beautiful thread that Sally Shakti and Teresa have already begun to establish. And as you begin to hear the sounds, the tones of this bowl, I invite you to bring your awareness into your heart center. I'm going to let the tones just guide where we go from here. So I invite you to close your eyes if you choose. Come back into that heart center, that soul knowing. We're on a grand adventure, and this is a time on this day, on this solstice, to bring into fruition, to come around that next level of the ascending spiral of awakening and transformation. So I invite you to call in your own guides and to just ask in your own way, what is it? What's before me now to do? But even more importantly, how and who is it for me now to be? How is it? Who is it for me now to be, to fully express the divine purpose for which I have come? With that intention, I tone. Feel the sound continue in the silence. Feel the movement continue in the stillness, for energy set in motion remains in motion. Your intention is moving, held, amplified. Clearing and releasing now anything which may be in the way of holding back this manifestation which is next on your path. Clearing, releasing. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Clear me. Heal me. Use me. Divine Spirit, we thank you for this opportunity to come together where two or more are gathered. The synergistic energy is amplified. We choose love from the depths of our beings. We choose love. I choose love.
Mm.
So I gently invite you to let your breath bring you back into the awareness of this outer realm. Ooh. Feeling whatever may be coming through your body as I feel what's coming through mine. Blessed be and thank every one of you for being who you are and having all the courage love takes to bring this love into the world at a time when it's most needed. For this and so much more, I am grateful.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Do you want to change the settings again? When you are using music for Zoom to transmit it, you have to have specific settings. And yeah.
Teresa is my savior. We've done a couple of things together too. Tech is not my strong point, so remind me when I need to push buttons, please.
It always works perfectly. Oh, thank you so much. That was amazing. Every time I hear Nancy's voice in her bowls, it just transports me to a new place that it never fails. It just opens up something in me. So thank you, Nancy.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you all.
And now I'm going to bring us back to our beautiful Sally Shakti to share a little bit about her wisdom, to share more of her wisdom and her contribution in the book and whatever else feels like it wants to come through.
Thanks again, Teresa, and thank you, Nancy. That was just ethereal and divine and beautiful. Thank you for that activation. So, yeah, I'm going to speak a little bit about my chapter. I have it beside all of you, and my intention is to scroll down through it and speak a little bit about each of the sections in the chapter. And I'll just preface it by saying that I am a star priestess of Avalon and a visionary writing guide. So I learned on the land in Avalon for 2 years, goddess-centered astrology. And I'll be bringing some astrological aspects into my sharing today. And the chapter weaves the astrology of this awakening moment with writing practice as a process for conscious evolution. And so in the video recordings from the Global Evolutionary Summit, I share the full complete practice in those recordings. So if you'd like to access that, then Teresa has the link. I'm going to talk you through the other aspects of the chapter today. So it's called Daily Devotional Writing Practice as a Process for Conscious Evolution. And it begins with this short, almost poem that I journaled in my own writing that came through. Writing begins in stolen moments of pen to paper, catching the fleeting dream as I wake. Writing begins with scrawling and scribbling, moving my hand across the page. So writing for me is more than just communication. We're in a time of exponential, not only technological, but also evolutionary growth in our abilities to communicate with one another. In April this year, Uranus, the planet, fully entered the sign of Gemini, where it will remain and travel through until 2033. So we have 7 years, and we're right at the very beginning. We're right in the first degree point of that period of time. We have 7 years ahead of us now, where the planet of awakening, electrifying, collective upgrades, future technology, disruption, lightning strikes of inspiration. That's the planet Uranus. And Uranus is in the sign of Gemini, the sign of communication, writing, speaking, thinking. And during this transit, which we have now for the next 7 years collectively, it will be opening up new ways of thinking, speaking, communicating. I'm certain that our modes of communication in the next 7 years are going to evolve and expand beyond what we can even imagine right now. And we're all part of this collective awakening. And I'm sure many of you know or have heard about Pluto moving through Aquarius. Pluto is the planet of initiation. We have to go down and into and through the underworld to know ourselves more fully through that alchemy. And in the sign of Aquarius, it's also in the sign of awakening, but it's in the sign of collective awakening. And so this is the moment that we are in. From now, for the next many years, Pluto will be in Aquarius until 2044. So we have plenty of time for this process to evolve and unfold. And so how can writing, which actually might feel like, in a way, quite a primitive technology as we look at what's unfolding, what's evolving, how can writing support each of us on our path through this collective awakening? So for me, writing primarily is a practice It's a process. It doesn't have to lead to a product. It often does, and we've been taught that it should. But primarily it's a practice of moving energy through our bodies and through ourselves onto the page. And that's its first work. The first work of writing is internal. We move our own thoughts as energy, as frequency, through our bodies onto a page, whether that be by hand or on the screen. I'm specifically speaking about writing by hand at the moment, but it also works when you're writing on screen. You still have to bring it through your body somehow, even if you are dictating your words, which is absolutely possible now with our advances in technology. They still have to move through our physical body and into the world. If you imagine the archetype of the spider, particularly the grandmother spider in indigenous American traditions, we have the three weaving sisters in European traditions and other traditions. The way that we make change on any level is by bringing thoughts as words, as frequencies into our beings, through our bodies, and into the world. This is how each of us has the role, the right, and the responsibility to participate in our collective evolution at this time and at any time. Because the stories that we tell ourselves, whether in our heads or through our voices or through the words that we put into the world, the stories that we tell ourselves collectively weave the reality that we are co-creating. You, me, we are all always co-creating. And our words are our most powerful instrument of magic for co-creation. And that doesn't mean that we should be afraid in our journaling of writing how we truly feel. How we truly feel might not be the most uplifting from moment to moment. I used to be afraid of writing the truth about how I felt if I was in a negative state of mind, because I knew that my words would create my reality. My fear was that if I put my negative thoughts down onto the paper, I would be creating more negativity. It doesn't work that way. When we allow our deepest fears, anxieties, traumas even, to move through our bodies onto the page, the magic that happens is that we get to put it down. I call it writing it down and out. And so actually for the first time we can find ourselves letting go, releasing, giving it to the page, moving it outside of ourselves, our energy field, our mind having to carry that heaviness. It's a form of composting. It's a form of alchemy. It's a really powerful way of meeting ourselves on the page, exactly as we are, moment by moment, with compassion, as the witness, without judgment for what we might be thinking or feeling. And as I continued to practice this, and I did this as a full-time occupation for 3 months after I completed my PhD. I wasn't capable of anything else. The only thing I was capable of was writing my thoughts down on my journal every single day and crying and writing and crying. And that process moved something through me. It changed me. One of the most powerful things when we witness ourselves and when we can meet ourselves face to face on the page as a mirror is we start to see what we're thinking, and eventually we start to see our thoughts shifting, changing, and evolving in front of our eyes. So I would write and write and write, and sometimes it was just so repetitive, and that's okay. Just keep writing and writing whatever's there, phrase, 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 same. Get it down, let it out, move it through. And a moment comes when you notice, maybe 10 minutes ago, oh, that phrase changed. I'm not saying that thing anymore. It's something slightly different now. And maybe 3 days go by, and then, oh, something's changed in what I'm telling myself now. Because we notice, we become the witness as we meet ourselves on the page through our writing. And there's no need to force it or try to change it. Just being the witness and giving ourselves that permission for writing to be a practice is where the power comes from here, and the potential. Just let us all take a breath as I scroll through and see what else wants to come. It's a practice of transmutation. It can be one of the most frightening things for us to face is ourselves. And that's where the depth of our true transformation occurs. And so as we move through this threshold moment, astrologically, collectively, energetically, writing is one of the most powerful practices we can commit to, just as a process of seeing what's there and allowing it to move through. And as it evolves, if it evolves, when it evolves, we begin to set ourselves new intentions for our empowerment, our soul sovereignty, and for our alignment to walk a path of purpose and co-creativity, because each and every one of us is here to serve and support the whole, the collective awakening that is happening all around us but cannot happen without us. We're all part of bringing this new energetic frequency through onto the planet. And so if you ever choose to put pen to paper in this way, may you be blessed, may you be guided, and may you know what you need as your best next steps. Blessed be.
Thank you so much, Sally Shakti. That was beautiful. So much wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our next author is Jennifer Shoko Ivanko, and she is leading a 3-day solstice retreat. So I'm going to very quickly share just a few things that jumped out. Bibliomancy again. When I opened her chapter. Her chapter is called The Emerging Human. And this is her opening sentence. You know those moments when life suddenly expands, when beauty stops you mid-step, or a dream lingers with strange clarity, or you sense there's more to reality than what you've been taught. Most of us dismiss these glimpses, returning to routine. But what if these aren't interruptions to real life? They're invitations to it. And I agree, they are. So, just a small note from Shoko. And Thank you for receiving that. Next, we are going to hear from my sister. Not really, not bio, just all these women and men are sisters and brothers. Donna Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. A special hello to my family, my mom, my real blood sisters are here, and many more sisters. So lovely for all of us to be together today. Eckhart Tolle had a quote. He said, "There is no spiritual truth that I can tell you that you don't already know. All I can help you do is remember what you have forgotten." And the longer I'm on the spiritual path, the more aware I am that it's really about loving our humanness. And what Sally was just bringing us through made me think of how scary it is to meet ourself. But that's only one part of us, because there's another part of us, the higher part of us, the wisdom-filled essence part of us. And when we enter into the commitment and the devotion to walk a spiritual path, not only do we have to find the courage to face those parts of ourselves that we're afraid of, that we don't want to look at, that maybe we're ashamed of, but we also are gifted and blessed with the higher power and the unconditionally loving presence of our soul, of our higher self. And so on my own journey, I've learned to sort of self-parent. And I always say to myself, to my younger parts, my scared parts, I say, I've got you and God's got me. My higher self has me. That beautiful, loving essence. And when we get on this path, we begin to discern the difference between the mind of the ego and our personality and our conditioned self that is oftentimes governed by safety, security, comfort, and control. And we can just take a breath and we can come back to ourselves and we can tune in, we can anchor down, we can ground into the remembering that we are all spiritual beings making our way through this epic human adventure. My chapter talks about the activation of our sacred soul signature. And, I've been a seeker my entire life. And what I've discovered is that all of the answers, they are encoded. They are encoded within us, within our essence. The truth of you is with you in every moment. We hear this cliche, oh, all of the answers are inside. It's true. It's true. In my chapter, what I unfold is a journey that began when I was in kindergarten. And it's certainly not over by any means, but I take you through to present day, which just happened a couple of years ago. And I identified this breadcrumb trail, this trail of my sacred soul plan. And my sacred soul plan is the learning journey that my higher self, my soul, the great divine God, the universe, has supported me in constructing and laying out before me in such a way that I can go through the learning lessons that I am here to grow through, not go through, grow through. One of the things that I can promise you is that the collective wisdom that exists in this book is incredibly uplifting. And just by having this book, even if you don't read a word of it, just by having it next to your bedside, something will begin to awaken within you. My purpose here on the planet is one of liberation. I am a transformational wisdom teacher, a soul catalyst, and a spiritual psychology coach. But aside from all of those fancy words and titles, what's encoded within me, my purpose is to help call forward what is encoded within you. So trust that things are always happening, even when our mind that wants to have all of the answers and wants to get it all figured out, even when the mind doesn't have a damn clue, things are still always unfolding in every moment. And that every single thing that has happened in your life is exquisitely perfect. That every single piece of you is exquisitely perfect. So send a blessing of light and loving to your life and to yourself and to everything that's happened, to all of the steps that you have taken to where you were and to where you are and to where you're going. And know that this is your divine plan and it is sacred and it is beautiful. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Donna. Absolutely stunning. Well, the next chapter in the book is me. So let me take a moment to tell you a little more about myself and the chapter. At the end of each of the 3 Global Evolutionary Summit sessions, I channeled, answered questions from the audience, and I channeled live. My intention was not to teach. My intention with the summit was to bring multiple forms of wisdom so that the audience could see, feel, and hear what was optimal for them at that time of their life. And as happens, we had somebody who couldn't speak in our fall session due to a medical emergency. And so I stepped in. My chapter is called No Regrets, Living with Intention. And let me tell you why that's important to me. One of my gifts is the ability to read soul contracts. And I can go into your energy and work with your guides and understand why you are here on this planet. And I look at that from several perspectives. One is your soul's destiny, another is karma, talents, and goals. And I have a chart that I generate to support that. Why that's important is because my purpose, my soul destiny on this planet is to support the evolution of humanity. And to do that from multiple perspectives. For example, I spent 30 years in corporate America in leadership, and one might look at me as an intuitive channel and say, wow, that was a left turn. But it wasn't. It was intentional. It was purposeful. And I learned a lot. Leading people in a very manipulative, constricted, patriarchal environment. I learned compassion. I learned kindness. I learned inclusivity. I learned not to take things so seriously. I learned that, here's a quick example. I took over a team and one of the team was literally working 6 a.m. until about 8 o'clock at night. And so after a few months of getting to know each other and conversing, I called a meeting with her and said, your new mandate is you are not allowed to arrive before 7 a.m. and you must leave by 5:30 at the latest. I want you to have balance. I want you to have a life, because when you do that, the person that shows up in the office is going to feel more fulfilled, more excited about what they are doing. A year and a half later, she came to me and she said that was the strangest thing a manager had ever told her. And she was so grateful because it changed her life. She became more healthy. She became happier. She became more productive, even with the reduction in hours. How we influence occurs at every single moment of our life. When you are walking through that grocery store and you see somebody who is having a moment, if you send them love, and they can receive it or not, but if you send it, you're opening a door for them that wasn't there a moment before. You all are so profoundly wise. You're so profoundly gifted. And you are an absolutely vital piece of the puzzle that makes up the evolution of this planet, of humanity. You're needed. You're important. And all of the challenges and hard things, if you know numerology, I have a 9 in my challenges, which means I did every single one of them and I did them multiple times. And yeah, they're really hard. But when you look at them and you harness the wisdom and you're curious instead of standing in victim mode, you become the wise way shower. That's what I wish for you. I wish that you see yourself the way I see you. When I look into your soul, you see how incredibly powerful and beautiful you are. It's amazing. So no regrets. Live with intention. And know that if you set an intention that isn't on your optimal timeline, you'll course correct. You can't do this wrong. You cannot. Thank you for receiving what I shared. As you can tell, it means a lot to me to be able to empower and bring people to the fullness of who they are. Thank you. And now I slip into host mode. And I would love to introduce you to my dear friend in India, Coralie. Coralie will speak to us about Vastu Shastra. Is she here or did we lose? Oh no. Oh, she lost her internet connection. Coralie has her PhD in Vastu Shastra. And to give you a quick parallel, it is very similar to feng shui, and it is infinitely beautiful and wise. Her chapter gives you the tools and some specific ways to move forward into creating a home that supports you and your evolution and everybody that lives there. And it is through color and plants, furniture placement, the placement of rooms. It's quite brilliant and quite intricate. And I know people who have received her services that were profoundly changed from what she shared. And our next author is Lori Rubenstein. And Lori is on her way to Iceland. Iceland? I might be wrong about that. She and her family are on the way to vacation. Lori, her chapter is called You Cannot Lead Anyone Else If You Cannot Lead Yourself. And here's where she comes from. Lori is an entrepreneur. She graduated with her master's in accounting and went to IBM, sat at a desk and said, this isn't me, and started her own business. And she's been doing that her whole life. And she talks about leadership, conscious leadership, and how it must start with who we are and how we step into leadership. So I encourage you, when you get your book, to take a look at that. And now we come to one of my favorite humans on the planet, Jason.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you so much for all of this beautiful work and for your words, which are so tender and wonderful. Well, bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you. And to everyone else who's here too, it's so wonderful to see you all and so many of you that I do know, and I love you so much. And I just want to thank you for being here and all your beauty and all the good you're bringing into the world. Yesterday I was out walking on a place that I call Prayer Mountain. It's a beautiful location in the Cascades, and I walk upon this ridge, and I go there at least once a week, and usually on Sundays, but since I was doing this today, I went yesterday. And while I was out there, I was walking on the earth, and I recognized that not only am I walking on the earth, but I'm walking on the skin of the sacred mother. I also was listening to something on the way out there, and I heard a statistic that just blew my mind. 73% of the animals in the wild, the wildlife, their population is diminished by 73% in the last 50 years. Breaks my heart. I hope it breaks yours too. 73% of the wildlife population, that doesn't mean they've all gone extinct. It just means their numbers have just diminished across this globe. We did that. And that hurts. That hurts. That stabs the heart. I pray out there on Prayer Mountain, and of course, there's all kinds of beautiful animals. Yesterday, there were caterpillars in bloom. It's an amazing thing if you've ever seen them. They're in the bushes, they're in these sacks, and they just start wriggling around, and they're all going to burst out. And I had them like crawling on me. And then, of course, they turn into butterflies. And really, this is what we're in. We're in a time of bursting out of an old paradigm, out of a way of seeing the world that cannot be sustained. We cannot continue to destroy this planet. We just can't. And we're alive today. Just imagine what it's going to be like in 50 years or 200 years. This planet will no longer exist as we see it. And that's just the truth. Maybe we'll be around, but if we're around and there's just us and dogs and cats and cows and a few other animals, wouldn't that be the greatest shame? Wouldn't that be a great shame on the heart of humanity? How could we? How could we harm this sacred planet? And so this is why this whole idea of collective wisdom and awakening is not just a cool idea. It's a profound moment in time that we must grasp. We must. The future of humanity depends upon it. Awakening isn't something that we get to do because it's cool and because we're nice, spiritual, sweet people. That's not it. Awakening is what needs to happen for humanity in order for us to survive, one, but most importantly, for us to be a part of this earth that we've always been, to remember the sacredness of the planet and the sacredness of ourselves. Now, the indigenous people have known this, and the Western world has forgotten it. And the biggest mistake we've made is that we think we're over the earth. We think we have dominion, that we're above the animals, that we're above. And so we just take and we destroy. And then we wonder, oh, why is there pollution? Why is there climate change? Why is the ocean choked with plastics? Because of us. But it's not because of us as a species, but it's because of the way we think and the way that we see. And, Sally Shakti, she was talking to us about the stories that determine our future. And this is so true. The story of humanity has been, we're over the planet. That's a horrible story. It's a grievous story. It's what's caused genocide. It's what's caused us to wipe out people groups across the planet. It's what's caused the destruction of the earth. We have to remember who we really are, which are children of a living planet, a sacred Mother Earth. And we must treat her this way. We must treat her with love, with kindness, with respect. Now, this place I go, Prayer Mountain, that's not its actual name. I call it that because I see it as sacred. And also, I don't really want anybody to know where it is. So I'm not going to give the actual location because I love being out there alone. I rarely see anyone. But wherever you are, when you step on the ground, your land, even if you lit up in a city, even if you're in New York or somewhere like that, you're upon the sacred earth. Could you treat it as such? Could you see that flower that's pulling out of the crack in the ground that needs a little water, and pray for it and honor it and bow to it and give it a drink? Could you see the child that needs to know that they're special and beautiful and say that to them? Could you see the person who no one else deems as sacred and look in their eyes and help them to see the truth of their own being? If we could just do that, the world would change. The world is what it is because of our thoughts, because of the way that we see. And this is why words and books like this are so, so, so important, because they help us to see a new way, to speak a new story, to live a new dream. All of us must live this dream together. Collectively, as a species, we need to come to the place where we recognize that this is our time to awaken to the deep truth of who we really are, co-creators of a magnificent universe, co-creators of a beautiful planet. And when we do, all of the things that we struggle with every day and that we think there's no chance that we can fix will fall away. The earth will become green again. The animals will thrive again. We have this within us. We can live in harmony with this planet. We can live in harmony with one another. We can see the sacredness of all beings, even those we have thought are our enemies. We can see the sacredness of our own selves, of our own wounded parts, of our own fear. And we can treat all things as holy. And when we do, what will happen is there will be a tipping point. There's this idea out there that we're on this crash course for a tipping point of total environmental destruction. Yes, we are. And we can't sugarcoat that. That is the truth. But it doesn't mean it's inevitable. We're also on a crash course for the awakening of humanity. And the only way that happens is if enough of us believe in this and we share it and we spread the message and we recognize that we are not hopeless and we are not small and our words do matter. Every person that you share the vision of sacredness with, just to notice that anything that you see deserves love and care, It will touch their hearts and it will exponentially grow. And that is the vision that I see for this planet, that there will be a tipping point when awakening is all across this earth. And that is the future of humanity. And right now we just choose which one are we going to. And for me, I'm choosing sacredness. My life is all about it. I hope you join me. If I'm foolish, so well, let it be. If we have no chance, at least we tried. We need to give it all we've got to awaken as many people as we can. And that's what the great avatars of history have told us. You know, I was thinking about this yesterday too. It's like, is there ever been a time in history when the spirit, that great Brahman, that great mystery, needed to come into the world? That is now. This is more important than Buddha's time. This is more important than Jesus' time. This is more important than anybody's time in history. This is our time. And we need to let the light of spirit float through every one of us so that we can be a part of the change that must happen. Thank you.
Jason, thank you. I absolutely love it. I love your heart. You're an incredibly beautiful soul, and I know that the planet is grateful to have you as its steward. Thank you for sharing. And now we move on and we hear from Ava.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I know I'm going to be mindful of time because I respect your time, and I know that my beloveds have a golf game calling, so I really appreciate their taking the time to spend with me. That said, there's a divine timing for everything, so I also know better than to rush and to be mindful of what needs to be said. So I am grateful to be here. I'm grateful for all the wisdom shared, and this collective has been as enriching to me as I'm sure it has been to all of you. And so, you know, I continue to learn that there is nothing but learning, and that each person's wisdom is just so profound and so unique, that we really do need to make space for it and to find a way to listen with the honor. You know, if I look in the eyes of each person and see the sacred, I think that we will get to where we're meant to be. And I think that's what we're all speaking about, is that ability that I learned many years ago to call the thou, to see the thou in each person, in each creation, in every single thing I look at. And so to that end, my chapter focused on what has become so very important to me of late, which is the concept, the idea of colloquially called boundaries, this idea that we have a capacity to honor ourselves and create space for ourselves that allows us to blossom and be open-hearted with a degree of safety and respect for our own self, which is, as Nancy said, the self that exists everywhere, at all times, in all things. And so, simply stated, from my work with internal family systems, which is a modality that is clinical, it is mainstream, and yet it has a leader or a founder that can speak to the soul, can speak to the elders and the wisdom guides. And so to bring those worlds together for me has been profound, and it is a way forward, I think, where language and different areas of interest can come together and speak a common way about what we know to be true, which is that we all have a higher self, a soul, and that faith in that part of us, faith in that part of everything, is really the best wisdom guide. And so making space and healing parts so that we can connect it and hear it is how our great mother will speak to us, how our great father can channel through us, and how we can learn to be open to all the energies that are present that have nothing but wisdom and love to share with us. And so from my work in the book, I will share simply that I realized that as we heal and as we evolve, we move through what I call surviving boundaries or surviving ways of honoring ourselves to thriving ways. And so there's a lot of work and healing that involves, but I think it's nothing that we're not all up for. And so whichever path takes you there is the path that was meant for you. But thriving boundaries, I think, is for me so important because it allows for an open heart. It allows for that vulnerability without fear. And it allows for connection, knowing that it can hurt or it can be painful. And that, as Donna said, you've got this. We can manage. We've got a lot of love and support to draw on so that no matter what, we'll always be able to find our way back to each other. So my chapter focuses on primarily the way back to self-trust, the way back to getting to connect with your higher self and that part of you that you can always trust to have your back and to lead you and guide you towards what serves you best. To that end, when I did my talk, I shared a very brief meditation, and I'm going to close with that. And it's just a way for you to get a sense of what that part feels like and what it feels like when you connect with it in your own self, in your own body. And so it involves two mudras. One is a vessel of receiving, which I'll ask you to hold in your left hand. It's the feminine. The feminine is the empty dish. It is the valley. It is that which receives. It is that which is deep. It is that which can hold endlessly in a way that creates safety and security. It is the darkness. And today we celebrate the light. And so that will be your right hand, which I'll ask you to put up in a protective mudra, which says, I know where the line is. I can protect with that beautiful masculine energy. I can create spaces that are safe and know how to stand up to what is harmful so that we can create a sense of security that is collective and it's imperfect and it requires forgiveness and grace. But we can do that. And so I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and think of someone in your life that you trust implicitly, the best that you can trust anyone. When you think of this person, there's a calmness to your soul and a surety that even though they're imperfect and will hurt you or have hurt you, it is always with the knowledge that there is an intention of love and support. So take a deep breath into that sense of trust and feel it in your body and know where it is. And I'm just going to ask you to remember that feeling so that when you need to call on it, when you need to connect it to your higher self that you can always trust, when you're scared or unsure, that you know that you can be both the vessel that can hold and contain and always, always make room for more. And you can be the protector that says, enough, this is where it has to stop for me. This is what happens when I am able to hold my space, respect my space, and keep it safe for me. So with that sense of trust, I believe we'll find our way back to what we long for, which is our innocence, the parts of our souls that have been hurt and have maybe forgotten how to be playful and enjoy all that the world has for us to enjoy with a degree of permission that is boundless. And so I'm going to ask you to keep the trust and the innocence as our intention and our path forward. Thank you so much.
That was beautiful, Ava. What an amazing reminder that we're all human beings having an experience and to leave room for everybody. And now we will hear from our lovely Deanne.
So thank you, Teresa, and thank you. It's been such a pleasure to be part of this project, and I'm going to be mindful of the time as well. And so I've been grappling with what to share, but I think that for me, some things would pull it all together. One, I work primarily with people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. And one thing, like, at the end of people's lives, I realize that most people, it's not how much you have, the material wealth, all that. It's the connections they have, the love, but also what they regret not having done with their life. And it reminds me that, each of us, right, we don't know when we're going to die, right? We memento mori, which is like a Stoic concept to just remind ourselves that all of us are going to die. We don't know when. And so therefore, carpe diem, which is like seize the day, seize your opportunity. And in between those, I was introduced actually when my father passed this fall. I had to do the eulogy to the dash. And the dash is your space between birth and death. And you have a choice, like, what are you going to do within your dash? And we don't know, right? And kind of coming back to elders and wisdom, for me, one of the kind of avatars for what I do is Jane Goodall, who, she lived into her 90s, and every, ounce of her being believed in our planet and believed that, every day each of us has a chance, an opportunity to make a difference, right? And it's up to us, what kind of difference do we want to make? And so it's, for me, that consciousness, that incredible, like, consciousness of choice. And as Nancy Hops shared in the beginning, we are all one. But I was thinking, like, yes, we're all one, but what does that really mean? Like, if each of us could think of this interconnection that we have, not only with every human on the planet, but with our earth, right? Like Jason was saying, and with every creature on our earth, and every choice we make, food choices, travel, whatever it is, the way we live our lives has a profound impact on the whole web of life, right? And so I think just to really, I guess my message would be to just be the change you want to see in the world, and for people to really feel their personal power to be sovereign catalysts for the change they want to see. I see so much, at least the realms I go in, younger people, like hopelessness, fear, and all of these things where they don't feel like they have the power to make change. And I think that for us, as maybe older people, wisdom keepers, that, to really open people's eyes to the power they do have, because like all of our candles lit, all over the world, we're all coming together with a common mission, and that's all it takes is like these drops here and there, and it's just going to build and build and build, and together, I believe, like Jason does, and probably everybody on the, like, we can change the trajectory of our evolution. We can, and we're at this powerful choice point where we have to just like really take the opportunities we have and be the change we want to see. And so I'm going to leave you with, I teach yoga as well, and namaste is one of my favorite words ever. So namaste just means I honor the place within myself that's of love, of light, and peace, and I honor that in you. And when we are all in that place, we are all one. So namaste. It's been such a pleasure, and I really sincerely, just all my energy goes into our book, reaching as many people as possible and really creating these profound ripples of change in our world. So thank you, Teresa, and everyone.
Thank you so much, Deanne. I agree. May the ripples continue to move out and through everyone. Our last author is Abby Lewis. She was also unable to be with us today. And her chapter 11 is When Not Enough Erodes Boundaries. And she gives us 3 stories, one of Cassandra, one of King Midas and one of Persephone, with profound insights that really made me stop and consider what those stories meant to me at this time. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us. Thank you for honoring us with your time. Thank you for receiving this collective wisdom for changing times. My intention is to bring multiple voices so you can find the one that speaks to you. And through the summit and through this book, we have done that. My final message is this: the time is now. Harness all of the wisdom that lives within you and know that you will never come to the end of that road, that your wisdom is infinite, and that by hearing the voices of multiple master teachers, whether they be a friend, someone in your family, from a book, from a recording, there's a message meant specifically for you so you can live the life that you desire and that you deserve. I love you so very much. I love each and every one of the contributors to this book. Thank you for being courageous and sharing your wisdom and making a difference in the world. I love you all so much. And with that, I officially close our circle. Be well, my friends.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you.